Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? It's 8:42 on Thursday, the 5th of August, 2021. How are you doing? Um, TikTok, time, and all that kind of stuff. I'm late. I'm late to the table. It's this Olympics. This Olympics is doing me no good whatsoever because I start watching one thing, then all of a sudden watching another thing, and then I have to wait for the next thing to happen, and it's very exciting, but it'll soon be over. Um, and I've got a meeting at 9 o'clock. So, hi. Time. I feel under time pressure because I've got this meeting at 9 o'clock. How do we create more time? Well, the short answer is you can't. You can't manage time. The only thing you can do is manage task to time. So that's a lot of what I talk about. But I read something interesting, and I'm sure this was in Daniel Pink's book When, um, and he said that the best way to find time to do things at the end of the day is to start the day earlier. Now, I know some of you probably already start the day ridiculously early, particularly parents of young children and the like. I get that. But maybe some of us don't start the day early enough. And I know some parents who don't start the day particularly early as well. So the best way to create time at the end of the day is to start the day earlier. And one of the things that really resonates with me around that is exercise. Now, I was going to say I'm a runner. I'm not a runner. I go running or jogging, really, if you look at how fast I go. Um, and I can genuinely say I've ran all my life. I've ran. I think I started running. I was in sixth form when I started running, and a friend of mine, David Cook, used to get on his bike and used to cycle and pace me around the towers at Anfield Plain. Um, and I used to tell him to go slower, and he used to say he was, and I'm sure he was going faster. And actually, I was quite fit when I look back on those years. Um, but you are when you're that age, aren't you? You're full of energy. Anyway, I can genuinely say that when I'm running, when I'm out running or jogging, feels great. Love it. I can genuinely say that after I've been out for a run, I feel great. And I can genuinely say that I know I function better, at least for the first part of the day. I function better when I've been out for a run, but I can honestly say 100% that motivating myself to get up and go for that run is a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. And well, there's a reason for that. And I read this recently. Can't remember the book. I'll post it in the chat when I get a chance later after my 9 o'clock meeting. Um, which and this book was saying that actually one of the reasons we find exercise hard to do is because we are genetically programmed to conserve energy. Now, there's a lot made, isn't there, about the fact that um, in our evolutionary history, we didn't have to go for runs and stuff because we were physically active um, all day long. Well, it turns out, and I'll post the book in the messages afterwards. Turns out that actually that wasn't the case. We weren't physically active for long periods of time. We were just consistently physically active, but not all day, just for a few hours of hunting and gathering. And the rest of the time, we would spend conserving energy. So our biological determinants, if you like, are to conserve energy and not to engage in meaningless physical activity um, that has no obvious benefit and outcome for us. So all of the stuff we do, like go to the gym and running, is actually pushing against our innate drivers, if you like, which is really interesting, isn't it? And it kind of, I like things like that because it makes me realise that when I'm pushing myself, having to push myself really hard to go and do something, that's okay because that's how it is, and it's not just that I'm some sort of weak fella that doesn't want to go out and kind of run. It's that actually I'm designed to conserve energy. The problem is that particularly if you work in the sort of job that I do, that many of you probably do, where you're sat all day long, You're not doing that 2 or 3 hours of consistent day in day out. Walking, running, picking things, killing animals, all that kind of stuff that our cave dwelling ancestors would do. Um, they're on the go all day. They're on the go for a period of time daily, whereas we're not, are we? So we have to replicate that with some sort of organised, controlled exercise. Um, but it's kind of kicking against our desire to conserve calories. Anyway, what point was I trying to make here? Completely baffled now as to what point. Oh yes, that's right. So I've been up this morning, nice and early, and I've had me run. Now I have therefore, by getting up earlier and going out for my run, I have created time at the end of the day, because I would have had to go out for my run at the end of the day, yeah, or I would have had to done something, weights or even a nice big long walk with the dog or something, to make sure that I'm getting enough of a kind of calorie burn, I suppose, to try and offset the toast with peanut butter on, or peanut butter with toast on is more to the, yes, I do like a little bit of toast underneath my layer of peanut butter from time to time. So I've created more time at the end of the day by getting up earlier. I'm trying to shift my body clock a bit. I generally get up about 6:30, and I'm wanting to start getting up at 6 o'clock to do exactly this, to generate time at the start of the day, to create more space for other things at the end of the day. Obviously, this requires me to go to bed earlier, but that 10 to 10:30, 6 to 6:30 thing is still aligned to our, or the majority, for the majority of us, aligned to our biological circadian rhythms. I'm sure you've heard of those. They're aligned to our circadian rhythms. The ideal time, Matthew Walker says in his book Why We Sleep, to get up is around 6:30. The ideal time to go to bed is around 10:30. So if you're going to create time earlier in the day, you've got to go to bed a bit earlier. But the reason that works in terms of having productive lives is that at 6 o'clock in the morning, when you get up, you're probably going to feel, if you've had your 8 hours sleep consistently and sleep's going well and all that kind of thing, you're probably going to feel energized. You're probably going to feel able to kind of get on with stuff. Or if you set up your morning in such a way, my calendar on a morning is the same day in, day out, and it's all in there. It's a bit sad, I know. People mock me, but it says walk/jog dog. It says, it says stretch, it says have breakfast, it says read, it says write, because I do all of those things routinely every morning. And that just reminds me of what I want to achieve on the morning. Now, the sooner I get up, obviously, the better it is, the more chance I've got of succeeding at doing all of those things. So I'm trying to kind of shift my body clock back so I can fit all of that stuff in. And that's a productive time. I can guarantee that if I was to stay up, instead of getting up at 6 and getting up at 7, say, if I was to go to bed at 11 rather than 10, I guarantee that hour would just be spent sat in front of the TV. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with watching a Netflix series or whatever. But in terms of trying to achieve what I want to achieve my outcomes, achieve my goals, the hour in the morning is much more valuable than watching another episode of Bosch, which you're watching at the minute. I don't know if you've watched that. Hollywood, LA police fella, very good, Bosch. So that's my Netflix tip for the day. Sorry, it's not on Netflix, it's on Amazon Prime. Other providers are available. So there you go. So what have I said today? Exercise is really important. People who exercise tend to sleep better. All the hours in the day are not created equal. As you get tired later on in the day, you are less productive. So the morning hours are really crucial. You've got to get your 8 hours sleep. The ideal time to sleep is between 10 and 10:30 and 6 and 6:30 for the majority of us. There are some people who buck that trend, but for the majority of us, those are the hours. If you're not a biological night owl, those are the best hours for you to sleep. And if you want to give yourself time later in the day, create more time at the start of the day. There you go. Okay. Been up since early doors. I'm going to go and have a lie down. See you tomorrow.